Content warnings for this film and our discussion thereof include sexual assault, rape, gaslighting, and mental health issues. And as always, expect spoilers.
You're having that dream again. We are the emissaries from the void.
Welcome back, everybody, once again to Emissaries from the Void.
From the void. I'm Ari.
And I'm Tristan.
And welcome back to my living room.
Woo.
Woo.
So this, I feel like, might be the first movie that neither of us had seen.
By far the weirdest, in my opinion, in terms of just like...
An odd tone.
Very, I would say weirdest implications that we've reviewed, but also messiest, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably fair. The movie in question is called Climate of the Hunter.
Right, which just feels like a porn title. Can we just be real here? Can we level here?
You could probably do a art house or porn title game.
Right? That would be a very fun drinking game, except we don't drink.
Yeah.
Take a mushroom every time. Get blitzed to the point where you can't tell the difference between reality and fiction anymore.
Yeah.
The true art house experience.
Okay, Climate of the Hunter. It's a newer movie, but it's definitely going for a 70s vibe. The color is very saturated and very yellow-orange.
Certainly. At least I would hope it's consistent viewing experience. Although maybe a comfort setting was on my computer when we were watching it. I don't even know anymore.
It might have made it even more yellow, but it's definitely
a very yellow movie.
Yeah,
if I had to describe a color that shows up in basically every frame, it's yellow.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I don't know if that was deliberate or they just did it because it looked cool. That's most of this movie.
I mean, I think it's deliberate in the sense that it is a 70s pastiche.
Valid.
Yeah.
So, Tristan.
Yes.
What was this movie about?
Fuck me. This is just getting harder and harder. Okay, so the synopsis mentions a man who, quote, may or may not be a vampire.
Alleged vampire.
And the two women who are kind of vying for his affections. But we theorize that maybe it's kind of about the way women are treated societally and kind of expected to kind of cater to men, maybe.
Yes, although it's by far the worst feminist take I've ever seen. It handles it in the worst possible way.
Have you seen Sucker Punch?
Second worst feminist take I've ever seen.
Okay.
I forgot about that movie. I had repressed it like a sleeper agent.
Right,
Sucker Punch is a movie I'd rather not remember. Even then, though, this movie is so pretentious. Zack Snyder is fucking pretentious. Whoever made this movie makes Zack Snyder look like Michael Bay.
So I mentioned the odd tone. It's hard to tell, how seriously it takes itself and when, kind of. It has parts that are, definitely intended to be humorous. And it has parts that can't quite tell if it's intended to be humorous or if it's just we're laughing because it's awkward or because the dialogue is so out of pocket
and so scattered. See, that's the thing. It's I don't think it's a good sign when your audience cannot tell when your movie is being serious or not.
I have some reservations about that as a blanket statement, but
Okay, what I mean is like this. Like if you go into a movie and it's clearly a satire and it plays it straight faced the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's ambiguous to people without media literacy if it is taking itself seriously or not. That's one thing. But that's not what this movie does. It oscillates its tone. I had thought that they maybe were doing that like on purpose. For example, I had mentioned that maybe the movie keeps changing who is the perspective character based on how people are talking to each other.
Yeah.
And I think that like the thing about that makes me even double down on that is because characters literally have different personalities from scene to scene. Like,
yes.
Either this movie was written by somebody who does not understand consistency as a concept, or they are purposely writing characters to be different in different scenes.
Right. And I theorize that maybe some of that is kind of a heightened form of the idea that we are different people when we're around different people, but it's definitely kind of unclear where it's coming from. But we have like one character who's introduced midway through the movie, and she's immediately like bright and bubbly, vibrant personality. And then next scene, she's like kind of dour and
like a
stern.
sultry bitch. She's a sultry bitch. Like, and the only way that makes sense, because even if we accept that this movie was trying to play with the concept that we are a different person to everyone we know, it fails in the execution of it so badly that I cannot tell the difference between that and it just being different character perspectives. Because if you think about it this way, when she's introduced, we are looking at it from the perspective of her mother. Alma has a very warped perspective on life because she's at the bare minimum been cooped up in a cabin for 2 years with just a stoner as company.
Yes.
And at worst, she is actually insane. Now, we'll get to the synopsis in a second, but the point is that when she shows up, that perspective feels like it is a warped mother's perspective of what she wants for her daughter to be this put together, bright, cheery woman. But then when we go to the dinner scene, we are looking at it from the perspective of either Wesley or Rose herself. And like seeing it from more, but because of things that happen in that scene, it's definitely Wesley's perspective because he literally mentally undresses her.
Yes. All right, let's do a synopsis.
I'll do my best. Okay. Climate of the Hunter was a movie made in 2019, although it was released in 2021, according to everything else I could find. Starring people you don't know. Directed by a man named Mickey Reese. I have never watched anything else that has been made by this director. I don't even know if they have other discography. But effectively, this movie follows Alma and Elizabeth as Elizabeth comes up to their family cabin, and allegedly Alma does, but we find out later that she's been living there for 2 years, to meet with their old friend Wesley, who they have not seen in a long time.
Yes.
Who may or may not be a vampire, alleged vampire, attorney at law. And they are later joined by Wesley's son, and even further later joined by Alma's daughter.
Yes.
Wesley's son is named Percy, Alma's daughter is named Rose, and various vampire and vampire accessories take place, which eventually lead to the culmination of a showdown between Alma and Wesley. And the movie is leaving it open to interpretation on whether or not Alma is insane or Wesley is actually an honest-to-God vampire. Right.
There's kind of a possible unreliable narrator situation.
I think intentionally so, because the movie starts with a page from her psych review, from Alma's psych review. So the movie from the beginning is showing Alma is
it
crazy.
Slaps you with a page of reading at the front.
Here's your deepest lore, everyone.
And this is one of the main problems of the movie, is that you have to read all of it and take note of the name to know which character this applies to before you even meet the character.
Correct, because we watched it, Tristan, myself,
Yes.
And my friend Nathan, we all watched this movie together, and all three of us missed that at first, and we had to double take. So,
I mean, I took in at the beginning that someone was, potentially, like, it's mentioned schizophrenia and what was it? Dysmorphia or
body dysmorphia, which was very interesting to include.
Yeah, didn't seem to come up a lot.
Didn't come up at all in the movie, honestly. Body dysmorphia.
So that could have maybe been edited. So yeah, I knew someone was potentially, in a mental state that, like so many giallo movies, might cast the proceedings in an ambiguous light, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those like art house movie tropes that I feel is kind of a sin. Just like from the get-go be like, they're crazy. It comes from an insecure place, in my opinion. Like the desire that they don't just want to put something weird on the screen, they have to frame it in a way. Look, we're emissaries of the void. But if you're creating an art house movie, just embrace the void. You don't leave it to people like us to translate for the normies. You don't need to put it in your film. You can just have it be weird.
Yeah. And maybe giving them the benefit of the doubt, that was part of the pastiche, that this was like a 70s movie thing to do. Honestly, the way it's presented at the beginning with like a hand putting down this paper felt more like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Now that you bring it up, yeah, actually, I can kind of see that. Also, like, even Psycho waits until the end to have the fart sniffy psychologist show up and just like, but he's wrong about everything. So like, and the movie's point is that he's wrong about everything. Like, Psycho's whole point is that psychoanalysis of psychopaths is kind of a Sisyphean task, because the reasons why people are crazy are hard to quantify in just a little soundbite. Like it's years and years of psychotherapy to suss out your unique brand of crazy. Whereas, someone just shows up and
mind hunters, they're hunting these minds day in, day out.
Yeah. And don't they know that minds are an endangered species?
Anyway.
We're going to have to hire a company to bring them back from extinction, like the dire wolves.
Exactly. And that brings us to
Speaking
this
of dire
lady's
wolves.
fucking dog.
Oh.
Who at the beginning of this movie... This is like the first dialogue of the movie.
It is. It's like the 10th line of the movie.
Alma's sister kneels down to pet this dog and is like, "Oh, you're a cute little dog," and almost like that doesn't work on him. He's far too philosophical. Right.
Everyone talks in this movie like they were written by Chat fucking GTP or whatever. Like okay. So I said this while we were watching a few times, but I'd be like, I hate this movie's dialogue so much, but I also love it at the same time because it's like an AI and a really catty gay man were put in a sack together and just shook vigorously until this came out. Like, that's how the dialogue feels in this movie.
Kind of stilted and a bit unnatural.
Overly erudite in their language. They are using really big words. And look, I use a lot of college words in my life. I use a lot of big words, but you intersplice those big words with normal talk. and in every
Pick
single, like, it's like somebody like when they were writing this, they had like an add-on in Word that just like found and replaced all these other words with bigger words.
If that doesn't exist, we got to invent that.
Well, because like,
Potentifier,
exactly. What would have been more natural would have been to say, my dog is too thoughtful for that. Philosophical is a synonym for thoughtful, and I can tell you that that's probably what happened. Somebody wrote, my dog is too thoughtful for that, and then someone's like, you know what, why don't you just make it philosophical?
Yeah, thoughtful is a normal thing for someone to say about their dog. Philosophical is like a step beyond that.
Right, because like I'm sitting over here with my crystal ball, I'm scrying into the past to look at this writing session, and I can see exactly what happened with this dialogue. It's the only way it makes sense. No one talks like this.
Okay, I have an alternate theory, and it's, I mean, we know this is like kind of a pretentious art house film, and that felt to me like dialogue that was intended to be kind of meta. They're like setting us up that this movie is far too philosophical for baby talk, I guess.
No, the fuck it's not.
That's how I took it in the moment. I don't know. Or it's another sign that Alma herself is just fucking crazy, and she's talking to her dog, which actually happens at the end of the movie.
Yeah, we only get once that it happens, which is crazy.
One line. I wish it had been
George Lopez from Beverly Hills, Chihuahua.
Oh, that would have been good. That would have been good. I was thinking of the movie A Talking Cat. That would have been great. It was probably just like the director, because it's like 3 words. It's like the dog walks down the stairs and is like, "Where are you going?"
Yeah, what do you think you're doing, Alma? I think is what he says.
Okay, yeah. And then she explains that she's gonna fucking stab a vampire, alleged vampire.
And they film this scene like she's hard at work crafting this like excellent vampire kit. She fucking duct tapes a wooden stake to a sledgehammer. It is not like the way it's edited is like, oh my god, she's getting ready for battle. It's the big climax.
Yeah.
But the movie does not earn that at all.
Very strange movie. So, yeah, most of this movie is like kind of... It's a lot of dialogue. It's a very talky movie. Wesley, alleged vampire, shows up, and he's this older gentleman, supposed to be very cultured. He travels a lot. He talks about his time in Sao Paulo and France, and he tells these colorful stories about what fucking monks trying not to fart or whatever.
And deconverting because of it.
Yeah. Which I guess is just supposed to show how charming he is, how good he is at parties. And
the first story he tells, which is a kind of a bit of a slightly vulgar but mostly harmless fart joke, I think shows him to be kind of awkwardly charming, which worked. That was okay. I thought that introduction to Wesley, like, because he shows up before they exchange some dialogue and then they go to dinner. Yeah. But, you know,
he recites some poetry. He does that a few times. He has poetry memorized.
Which, and he's a pompous ass about it too. She's like, wow, it's so crazy you can keep all that in your head. And he's like, oh, it's easy to remember them. And I'm like, no, the fuck it's not. Poetry memorization and recitation is like a skill you learn.
It's also a vampire trait.
Yeah, all vampires.
Yeah.
You know, actually, in vampire, like general vampire lore, them having like a photographic or eidetic memory kind of shows up a lot. So that's like how I took it. It's just like, you know, as a vampire, he has now an eidetic memory. He remembers everything. So
it's another one of those things like being allergic to garlic.
All right, let's roll it back. So we're going back. So we're talking about their introduction, because this is like one of the first scenes in the movie.
Yes. Wesley, Alma, and you said Elizabeth?
Yes, her name is Elizabeth.
Yeah, they're at the table. Wesley is mostly dominating the conversation, but then they talk a little bit about their lives, and like one of them's, Alma is the sculptor?
Yeah, she just does sculptures, and then Elizabeth does something with the government. I don't think it's ever specified exactly what she does. Okay. But they're all rich. Like, to stress for the audience's sake, everyone in this movie is like drippingly wealthy except for BJ, the one normal person in this whole goddamn movie.
Yeah, I mean they're in their like, you know, family cabin that they own and can retreat to whenever they want. So yeah, everybody is well off, and BJ is like a caretaker or a groundskeeper of some kind.
Right, and he is like a normal person that is, you know, just a pothead.
I mean, relatively.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, by where we live standards, a normal person. Everybody we know.
That's true. But I mean, what really comes of that scene? Like, where do we even go from there? I can't even remember anything until like some of the later dinner scenes.
Well, because I am a vampire, I have a memory of what happened.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's convenient.
Yep. Yeah, and like Wesley, vampires don't burn in the sun. You can go outside. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So effectively what occurs is after this dinner scene, Wesley takes Elizabeth out into the porch and shows her the star Vega and says that she's like Vega and, basically says a bunch of flowery...
Takes Alma out on the porch.
Not out, no. Elizabeth.
Are you sure?
I promise you it's Elizabeth. All right. So, as I was saying...
We played back the footage.
No. As I was saying the whole time...
Oh, yes.
It is Alma. He takes Alma out into the porch and shows her the star Vega and basically rizzes her. And now it's all clicking into place for me. That's right. Because this is what facilitates the conflict between her and Elizabeth, because they just bitch and argue about this until Alma decides to kill Wesley.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, yeah. So that's right. He takes Alma onto the porch and he basically is like, this is the star Vega. Look, it used to be, 1,300 years ago, it used to be the North Star, but now, Polaris has replaced it, basically. Because of just, stellar shift or whatever. Yeah. And they actually this is a really tasteful scene that I actually really liked because they really kind of lean into the 70s aesthetic. They have them looking up at a fake sky, but it's made so in purposely dramatic and over the top. And then they shine a light down on them, which doesn't make any sense, but it really helps sell the scene. And it just, if that was the most 70s this movie ever felt.
Yeah.
Aside from the very beginning with the piece of paper.
Right.
Then the next day, Percy, which is Wesley's son, has shown up. He's standing, he opens the door, and then his dad's like, do you want to come in? And he said no. And his dad's like, well, okay, well, what do you want to do? I want to go fishing. And he talks in such a stilted way. Yes. I literally turned to you, I'm like, are they trying to present him as autistic? Which, not an insult, but just legitimately the presentation is so autism coded, and it only exists for that scene, because the next time we see Percy, he's a completely different person. He's just a catty gay boy.
We do get a little bit of them actually fishing, and he's maybe not as stilted, but definitely as terse.
Sure, but I kept that all as the same scene in my head.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, we get two scenes with Percy for the most part. We get that scene, and then we get the dinner scene that they have.
Right.
And at the dinner scene, he's a catty gay boy.
And he's more open. And that one I chalked up to him being around other people who he doesn't despise. Oh, and there is one more scene. There's the scene with his mother.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. So during the first scene, we cut away to him talking to his mother. And the implication is that he is telling Wesley about this visit that he's had, is kind of how it's framed. He's like, so I went to go see Mom. And then Percy rather is looking at his mom and talking to her you're going to pick up the phone. You're going to call me. This is how you trying to teach her how to call on the phone. We need to
establish that Wesley's wife and Percy's mother is in a mental institution.
Yes.
And is not totally functional.
She has the ability to talk, but it's gibberish. And
it's kind of non sequitur and
literally
ominous.
Literally has an AI in her head, basically just printing out random pretentious dialogue.
It's some Lovecraftian shit that she just says out of nowhere, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's spooky. It's some spooky shit. Yeah. But we learn in the conversation that Wesley has with Percy that some shit went down.
Yeah.
And he refers to his father as well, I guess you're going to live forever now or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So while it is ambiguous if Wesley is a vampire or not, I feel that the coding of the film and the dialogue that other characters say when Alma is not even present heavily indicates that at the very least Wesley believes that he's a vampire because his son is mocking him for it.
Yeah.
His son makes several references to his father in a jabbing, jeering fashion,
Yeah.
intended to criticize things that only would critique a vampire.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And he's allergic to garlic.
And he's allergic to garlic. And it makes him... Can we talk about how he coughs up a tampon?
Yes.
Can we talk about that?
I think that this ties a little bit into the feminist reading of this film,
Okay.
which is to say that like because before he coughs up the tampon, he has a whole rant about how there's so many stars in the sky and how every single one of them's a new experience.
Yeah.
And then he literally chokes on the disgusting, not disgusting. That's not the word I'm looking for. He literally chokes on the stark reality of femininity. Because like tampons and menstruation and all that kind of stuff, while yes, trans men menstruate, but like for the most part on a societal level,
Right.
women's menstruation is a thing that men do not like to even acknowledge exists. They think
Right.
it's gross. And so when I said disgusting, I more meant like the way men see it.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong about menstruation, but he literally chokes on a menstruation product, almost like how any super chauvinistic, misogynistic man would choke on the idea of menstruation because to them it's this gross thing that they don't understand.
Except Dave Foley, who has a good attitude towards menstruation.
Can you remind me what the fuck you're referencing?
You're too young. Fucking Kids in the Hall. Anyway, he has a whole... It's one of his monologues. He's a man who has a good attitude towards menstruation.
I am 10 years younger than Tristan is.
Okay. Anyway, in the like context of the movie, like
it's like he had
at face value,
he had to put like blood in him. Like he basically like had to like have some kind of blood on him to keep his cravings at bay, is what I read it as. Like tampons are designed to hold a lot of blood. So like, well, no, honestly, like I've thought about this before. Like as a vampire like existing, you might need to like get a lot of blood and just like keep it in an easy to accessible place. So like filling a tampon with blood and then putting it in your mouth to like sate your cravings while you're dealing with society. I don't know. It's a vampire thing. You wouldn't understand.
Just vampire things.
Yeah, I have a regular supply of blood, so I don't have to.
.com.
I don't have to like. I don't have to do things like this. I'm not desperate. I'm drowning in.
Right.
We're gonna end this bit right now because this is stupid.
Okay, because this is the part where he notices the garlic, basically. Like he's trying to say something and he keeps coughing and he's like, is there garlic in this?
And his son's like, oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
But really coy, and then follows him into the bathroom while he coughs up a tampon, and then he's throwing blood up in the toilet, and then his son comes over, lights a pipe that lights a pipe that
father's pipe. Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is just the first of many things coming your way, old man. And I'm like, whoa, like
you didn't get anything that wasn't coming your way.
Exactly. And again, he's so gay in that scene. Like,
extremely catty.
I cannot stress enough that it is a completely different character. It just doesn't feel like the same character. The way he's talking, the inflection of his voice, the line delivery, it's so different. It doesn't. Again, if you told me that he was just the same actor playing two different characters, I would believe that.
Right. It's like a There Will Be Blood situation where it's Eli and Feli or whatever the fuck. Okay, but I'm just still trying to wrap my head around like why he coughs up a fucking tampon and no one else brings it up. As Elizabeth pulls it out of the dip, it was like, oh, he just spat up this bloody tampon.
I tried, but you're right. No one. It is a little weird that nobody brings it up again.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if I came over,
I guess we can move past this.
If I came over to your house and then we were just having a chat and I coughed up a bloody tampon, I feel like there would be questions.
You would not be invited back. I'm sorry. I don't care if you are a vampire. My thought watching it for the first time was like he had that in his throat to stop the food from going down because he can only eat blood, but that doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's one of this movie's like indulgences that
we now turn to the writer's poorly disguised fetish.
God, I hope not.
You and I are both children of the internet, Tristan. You know it's real. You know there are tampon appreciators.
Stop. I won't listen to this. No.
I've never seen Tristan this genuinely uncomfortable.
I'm not genuinely uncomfortable, but
we have watched some weird things together, but this is the thing that's getting him.
Okay, so it speaks to the tone of the movie that
agree.
This is like maybe humor, like it's hard to tell, but it definitely like this kind of like shock value out of left field thing that it throws in. It reminds me a bit of Quentin Depieux, who directed Rubber.
And once you pointed that out to me, I absolutely can understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, that kind of like combination of pretentiousness and crass, weird humor.
I'm not going to die on this hill, but I would say that Rubber is a better movie than this.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen it.
I literally had someone I went on a date with, and we're both really into horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought up Rubber, and they left the date. I didn't even. I was just like, "Yeah, have you ever seen like something?"
Did they think you were talking about a condom?
No, we were like... talking about stupid horror movies. Okay. And they're like, you're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, like, have you seen this movie Rubber? Like, I just watched it the other day because it was back when it first had come out.
Yeah.
And they literally were like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, and they left.
Just because you had seen it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently, it's controversial to like this movie. I don't even like it. I just think it's better than this movie.
Right. Yeah, Quentin Depieux is someone that I personally struggle with, and we'll probably get into some of their filmography on this podcast at some point. But
I'm looking forward to it.
I could not make it through Wrong Cops, but I also hate Eric Wareheim. So
remind me who that is.
From Tim and Eric.
Oh, okay. Then I know.
Yeah, he's like the star of Wrong Cops, and I personally don't have a taste for his
brand of comedy.
Yeah, I guess. Tim, I don't mind. Eric is like comedy poison to me. Anyway, getting way off topic here. Too Late is another movie that is kind of in similar tonal territory, at least in parts, but it was a movie that came out a few years ago that a lot of people wrote off as like trying to be Quentin Tarantino-ish, but it has these characters with like really stilted, unnatural dialogue, like mixed in with really good dialogue. Honestly, it's odd. But thankfully, no tampons coughed up in that one.
Jokes aside, I love vampires. I think that they are a very good archetype to use for any kind of group in society that is being ostracized for whatever reason. The thing that this movie fails to do is the vampire in this movie does not represent anything exiled minority in the world. Yeah. They are the other kind of vampire, which is the one I don't like, which is a stand-in for the aristocracy.
Right.
And
like that one with Ethan Hawke and Sam Neill.
Yes. Like the traditional vampire is a stand-in for aristocracy. This is true. But there are a lot of homoerotic undertones in the original Dracula that get missed by the average reader. Because it's kind of its time cultural thing. So like our language has evolved to the point where we don't pick up on these things anymore. But in the original Bram Stoker's Dracula, Dracula is talked about as this beautiful, magnificent creature, but also this creature of the darkness. Like there is this allure to him, even though he is this horrifying thing.
Right.
And that kind of ties into a lot of the 1800s attitudes towards anything, but homosexuality specifically.
Anything.
You know what I'm referring to.
Okay.
But then you get like, so you can see that through line, right? As vampires begin to become saturated into society, they stand in for plague, or they stand in for the aristocracy. But then as we get into, you know, the 80s and 90s, you have Anne Rice, and she turns it into like a straight up homoerotic thing. Like it's really gay. Like if you actually read the Interview with a Vampire book, it is so gay.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, I don't think. It's like
Okay.
I don't know if it was on purpose. It doesn't feel like it's on purpose, but like the way that Louis talks about Lestat is straight up like super queer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we have moved past this as like a vampire is just an aristocrat. It is seen as rote and cliche to do that. This movie just does that. This movie just tries to be Dracula but fails. They might as well have just made him Dracula. It would have been much less, like this movie tries to be super pretentious, but it does not use the imagery of the vampire to say anything. Him being a vampire doesn't mean anything in this plot. He could be a werewolf and it wouldn't change the plot at all.
Yeah, because in this movie he is a womanizer, and he, like, I think maybe we can say that he like drains the life from the women that he, you know, sleeps with or spends time with or whatever.
But we just don't get, like, they don't capitalize on that imagery very much. Like, yes, you could easily say like I can find meaning in anything, and the meaning I can see from him being a vampire is that, you know, the patriarchy literally sucks the lifeblood from women.
Yeah.
Like, sure, but they don't do anything to capitalize on that. They just have they have two girls thirst after him, and one of them kills him. 3 girls thirsting after him, but like it just,
Yeah.
I don't even know. It disappoints me because this movie is taking itself so seriously, but then doesn't do anything with the primary allure of this movie, which is that Wesley is a vampire.
Yeah. So I guess getting back to the plot, you know, we essentially have a series of dinners, and after,
which are audio described. But can we talk about the fact that the food is like audio described? Like
every dinner, it shows a top-down view of the meal, and this completely, it's not a character in the movie. Just this woman's voice says what the meal is, and then cuts off comedically, abruptly, interrupted by the actual dialogue in the movie.
And the narrator shows up one other time outside the context of food at the very end to narrate Alma.
Yeah.
And
odd choice.
Followed by the dog also speaking.
Yeah.
So I think it was you said this, where you had the idea that this was her schizophrenia, like this was her schizophrenia.
that was my desperate flailing for any kind of justification for this.
Could you imagine if you just like you weren't crazy in any other capacity? You just, every time you saw food, it got audio described to you,
and like you wouldn't even know. You just if someone asks what's for dinner, you're like, did you not hear the? Just look at it and a voice will tell you. That's just how this works. So yeah.
Depression meal.
I
Pasta and butter, nothing else.
Yeah.
Served with beverage of alcohol.
So yeah, it's a series of dinners interspersed with like little bits of like Alma talking to BJ, who is like her stoner friend, and obviously her connection for marijuana, and he, like, I don't know, philosophizes a bit. He notices Wesley and thinks he's weird, but he also didn't remember that he already knew Alma's sister, I don't know if anything that he says is of consequence in this movie.
I mean, so the movie does draw attention because this is something we skipped over, is after Wesley takes Alma out onto the porch and has the whole Vega scene. Then as Wesley is leaving, BJ sees him and then they like lock eyes and stare at each other. Like he like walks off and then reappears back. And then it's like,
yeah.
And I was like, oh, like when they first introduced, and this is the first time you see the character of BJ before you get any scenes with him. So I'm like, oh, is he the hunter that this is the climate of?
Right.
Because like this, I could see like this movie would have been way more interesting if BJ was not a groundskeeper, but just a hunter chasing Wesley, and at the very end pulls Alma into the like thing, and then like Alma kills Wesley. Like you just make a simple tweak to this movie and it would have been a lot more interesting. But like BJ's just there to enable Alma. That's all his purpose is as a character.
Yeah, kind of. Okay, so like I think the next dinner is maybe with Alma's daughter. Is that right?
So going back to the beginning of what we were talking about, Rose shows up, super peppy, super bright. The girl next door, like,
yeah, when she's interacting with her aunt, Alma's sister, Elizabeth, which I took as like, obviously we were given signs that Alma's relationship is strained with her daughter.
With everybody, but specifically her daughter, yes.
And that kind of like escalates over the course of the movie, is like everybody shitting on Alma more and more. But her daughter shows up and is bubbly, and then when they're all together at the table, she's very cold.
And looks like looks more like a vampire than Wesley does. Honestly,
yeah, kind of.
She loses her glasses. So she has glasses in the first scene, doesn't wear them again for the rest of her time in the movie.
Forgot that.
Exactly. She literally looks like a girl. Like she looks like Two Broke Girls. What's the lady from Two Broke Girls? I forget her name, but she looks like her when she first shows up. I was like,
I remember you saying like, oh, she's actually nice. She's fun.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then said that she's not ever again.
I know. And then she's just like, and then she turns into an object to be used by Wesley, basically. So it's like, okay, as much as I want to have a feminist interpretation of this film as it critiquing patriarchy, this movie indulges in the male gaze,
right,
to the point that it like, okay, so even if you're trying to make a point about it, you're also partaking in it, and it's indulgent,
which is another connection we could make to Sucker Punch. But
stop reminding me that movie existed.
Sorry.
Do I need to bring back the throat tampon to like punish you for that? Oh my god. I'm sorry. Good Lord. But okay, so effectively, this movie fails to execute on its message. Even though I know it has it there, it's definitely trying to say something about the way that men treat women, especially with how Wesley goes on his rants. But the way that the movie chooses to put that on display almost seems like it agrees that patriarchy is a good thing. Because Alma is punished and sent to an insane asylum for her actions in this movie.
Yeah.
Taking out the patriarchy makes her crazy, which feels like it defeats the message that this movie is trying to say, unless it's a very cynical message that this movie is trying to say, or B, it's saying that the patriarchy is not that bad.
No, I think it's the former.
But it comes across like it's saying patriarchy isn't that bad. Yeah. That's how it reads, because it just, every opportunity that we have to objectify women, they are objectified in this movie. And like, I think that the scene where Wesley mentally undresses Rose proves my point. It didn't need to be in this movie, and the only reason it's there is to show boobs.
Right.
And don't be wrong, I like a pretty girl, but I didn't need that in this movie. It hurts the message. If this movie is trying to have a anti-patriarchy message, it hurts itself by having that scene.
Yeah. Did anything else of note happen at that dinner? Is that the one where he like does the literal magic trick
Yes, that's the one where he like conjures an atom into his hands, and they never use that effect again for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it's another one of the things that makes me think that we're kind of seeing things from Alma's point of view, and it's also another one of those things that's like, is he a vampire? Does he have power of illusion?
But you would think more people would comment on it if it was real. Like, if he really did that, like, why does nobody make any reference to it?
So we get that, and we get a scene of Elizabeth just talking shit about Alma behind her back to Wesley, kind of driving a wedge between them. And Elizabeth is like, oh, Alma, she's not doing so well mentally. And, oh, I really shouldn't say this, but, that kind of shit. And around this time, we get a dream sequence with Alma, which is another one of the more 70s sequences.
I think you said it was like trying to, like, it almost seemed like it was Lynch, like they wanted to be David Lynch really bad with this scene, I think is what you said.
I don't think I said Lynch with this. It's very like pulpy to me,
right? But also really weird, like, and esoteric, and like
it's essentially just a sequence of visions involving vampires or vampiric imagery that she wakes up from at the end, and I don't I'm struggling to come up with a way that it was really necessary to the story.
And again, further my point, they could have been werewolves,
right,
or mummies, or whatever,
leprechauns,
or just cannibals. Like, the thing is that, okay, so yes, they try to use the vampire to represent patriarchy, because when she has that dream and she goes to that table, they're all men, right, and they're all dressed like super stereotypically as vampires, but they're also like mobsters. Like, they have like the they have like a greaser, like greasy mobster aesthetic. It's really weird. It is, but like, effectively, like, it's like, okay, so this is patriarchy. It's a vampire that's sucking the life out of women, but again, they don't really capitalize on that imagery beyond this. Like, if they had more of this in the film, I think it would have been more interesting. But they don't do anything with it, and the supernatural elements could literally be swapped out for any other supernatural elements. And I think that fails to capitalize on the whole purpose of having supernatural elements in your movie. Yeah. But yeah, and she sees, like, and then Wesley's like in full Nosferatu makeup, talking about how, like, oh, you think you know the darkness, well, welcome to the darkness, and you can't leave. And he like laughs at her, and then she wakes up and she's really pale, and she looks kind of sickly, like they did her makeup to make her look kind of hungover or sick. And then she gets a call immediately from Elizabeth talking about, I don't even remember, it's not important. But that dream follows right after Rose goes to visit Wesley in his cabin, and seems to have been, killed by him. But like they have that scene, and then
she kind of offers herself to him, right?
Exactly, and it's like, again, complete stark, literally the most incel fantasy ever, which is she comes to his house and she's like, I saw you mentally undressing me, and then like is aroused by that. No woman is turned on by that. You gaze at us and we're not like sitting there like, oh wow, they're undressing me with their eyes, unless we're already fucking you, right? Like,
or you're Blanche Devereaux.
Fair enough. My point is though is that, like, she shows up and just kind of uses all these words that no woman would ever say, and then is eaten by the vampire. So it's almost like the indulgence of the male gaze and the execution of it is vampiric and parasitic in and of itself, because the idea of it causes you to see women as objects to fulfill your desire and not as in desires of themselves.
Okay.
Did I lose you?
I'm gonna pretend like I followed that.
Okay, no. So, what the movie I think is trying to say is that Wesley's chauvinistic gaze, when Rose goes to his house, it is a metaphor for showing that even if you were to capitalize on your fantasy of the male gaze, it still is a parasitic thing, even if you got everything that you were fantasizing about, because it destroys the autonomy of the woman involved and is a parasitic thing that stops seeing people as people with desires, but seeing people as means to your own ends, which I guess is what they're using the vampire imagery for, is that the idea is that patriarchy and misogyny are used to fuel your own ego and your own power, and not necessarily leaning into anything about the person that you're victimizing. But again, it doesn't make the point well, and it also seems to also indulge in the stuff that it's going for. I don't know.
Okay.
Like, I'm stretching. I'm trying so hard. But the thing is, I think that the movie's point is really shallow, and I think we've already scrapped the surface. And so all we're doing is just talking about how it doesn't work.
We're not really kind of fleshing out the theme as we're going through it.
Because we've already found the theme.
Right. I do want to talk about the scene where Elizabeth goes over to Wesley's place, and Wesley is like, oh yeah, by the way, I brought my wife here from the mental asylum, and she's not really able to take care of herself. You'll have to like kind of feed her, but she's just gonna be here while we have sex. That's cool, right?
And she's like, no, and she tries to leave.
Yeah.
And then he sexually assaults her.
Yeah.
Like, he literally...
And gaslights her, and... Yeah.
Like, she's like, no, I'd like to leave. She revokes consent. So this whole movie, Elizabeth has been like, I want to fuck you, Wesley.
Yeah.
And then we finally get to the scene where they're going to fuck each other, and she revokes consent. Yeah. And Wesley fucks her anyway. And we don't see it. We don't linger on it. It's not a rape scene that we see, but it's definitely implied. And so again, I think it just ties more into this idea that Wesley is a vampire, represents the patriarchy, and the patriarchy doesn't give a fuck about your consent and will just do whatever it wants regardless. But he's like, oh, you wanted this. And then she agrees to it, though. Again, it indulges in the fantasy as much as it's critiquing it. Like, I can tell that the director of this movie wanted to say something about patriarchy, but he got off too much on like the actual things that he lingers on them, and that, like, you know, eventually, and then at the very end,
I mean, that the thing with his wife being there, that was, I think, pervasively uncomfortable.
Which it is uncomfortable, but
like I don't really see him like getting off on that. Like, that was it's pretty unambiguously
the coercion, though, of Wesley against Elizabeth to eventually make her succumb. That in and of itself is so gratuitously written, and the point that it makes me feel like the director enjoyed writing that a little too much, because Wesley's wife being there kind of just fades into the background. It doesn't, like, once we move past that like uncomfortable element of that scene, we just focus, we stop even looking, the camera stops even looking at her, and we just focus on Wesley and focus on Elizabeth. And when we're focusing on those two, suddenly now it's a coercion, like corruption story, basically. Right. And look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with indulging in a little bit of dark fantasies about these kinds of things.
Right, but it's counterproductive to the point.
Right, exactly. Like, when you have a story like a corruption or a coercion or a CNC story, these things are usually not also then trying to critique patriarchy.
Right. I don't know. I feel like maybe they are more and more, just as we as a society become more self-conscious. But that's a topic for another time. What is there anything we can pull out of just the fact of him bringing his wife into it? Like, what what is the allegory there?
Well, when it initially happened, I was thinking like, we as a society have a very negative view on people who are widowed or divorced. Like, if someone's been married before, especially women, men have a tendency to not want to pursue them because they see them as having baggage or used up. And so I think I was trying to do some play on that, like, you know, my wife is catatonic, she might as well be dead. They even say earlier that she's good as dead. And like, that in and of itself is showing, like, you know, the legacy that this has on us in our future relationship endeavors. But the fact that it's Wesley's wife and it's not, like, say, Elizabeth's husband, like, could you imagine an alternate version of this movie where it's Elizabeth who has the catatonic husband, and then Wesley has her husband there before they're going to have sex? I feel like that would speak to the point a lot more than what it ends up being, if that makes sense. If we're critiquing patriarchy, then we critique the baggage, quote unquote, that women bring with them when they are divorced or widowed, that other men would see, and then that is getting in the way of their romantic endeavors. And if that's like, Wes is like, I'm not too sure about this, I think that, you know, like, you know, look at him, like, you still have a husband and this is wrong. If he was the one saying that, and that was how he was, like, turning her down, and he didn't sexually assault her, I feel like it would have been a more effective scene for what the movie is trying to say about patriarchy.
Maybe.
That's the best I could do. I don't know about you, Tristan.
Right. I mean, I'm struggling. Like, something about Elizabeth, like, being expected to
take care of the
kind of make it okay, or I'm not sure.
This movie is definitely very much the void, but we're digging in a shallow pond right now. Like,
it's a shallow void.
Yeah. Like, we've caught all the crawfish already. We need to move on to another tide pool, I think. So, I don't really have anything else to say about this movie, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, just to wrap it up, like, Elizabeth starts shitting on Alma even more, and her daughter starts shitting on her, and, like, everybody's gaslighting her and telling her that she's not good enough, and
including
she's not
Wesley.
taking care of herself in the right way. Yeah. And she kind of snaps and decides to murder Wesley.
With BJ's prodding.
Right. Because BJ's like, yeah, he's definitely a vampire, or whatever.
Yeah. Like,
whatever he
hits
sounds like.
Toke. Yep, definitely a vampire.
Right.
Hits Blunt again. Like.
So then they have this, like, rock and roll montage of her, like,
duct
gearing
taping
up
a stake to a sledgehammer.
Yep. And then she goes over, and Wesley really starts gaslighting her and like berating her, and then she stabs him.
Yes. One shot, one kill, by the way. Like,
yeah.
Impressive.
And
then Elizabeth shows up and is like, what did you do? What did you do? Even though she has just been getting fed on by a vampire, but she doesn't have any marks on her neck because we have to leave it ambiguous.
Right.
And then what, like, Alma, we walk outside, they're carrying the body. Elizabeth gets mad at BJ and then goes over to Alma, and Alma's looking up at the sky and sees, like, some super weird celestial stuff, and it's like, they shine for you now, Elizabeth. And then we cut to her in the fucking mental institution, the same
Alma
one
in the mental institution.
Yeah, Alma's in the mental institution with Wesley's catatonic wife, and they're playing ping pong.
Yeah.
And then that's it. That's the end of the movie.
Yep. And, you know, some commentary about how we gaslight women who rebel,
who stand
against
up for themselves.
patriarchy,
Yeah.
yada yada.
I think what really pisses me off the most about this movie is just that it so easily could have been better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, using a vampire to represent patriarchy can really work because, you know, that's not my preferred use of vampires in a story, but like you historically they represented the aristocracy, and the patriarchy is just the aristocracy of today. So ultimately, I mean, it's always been the aristocracy, but you know what I mean? Like when we think of patriarchy, we're thinking about the overall toxic masculinity that impacts both men and women, and it's a vampire that feeds on your soul. Yeah. And I think that if Wesley had eaten a man, like killed BJ and like sucked him dry or something, it would have also helped that point a little bit more, because he only attacks and victimizes women in this movie, but the patriarchy attacks and victimizes everybody. So you could easily use a vampire to represent what this movie is trying to say. It's just that it can't get over itself enough, and it's too indulgent in certain parts of the patriarchy gaze that it in of itself defeats its own point and makes it not a good movie.
Yeah.
Not like an egregiously bad movie, but just it irritates me more because of its missed potential, which is this is a growing theme with this podcast, is these movies upsetting me because of their missed potential.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm the same way with movies. And you were like, throughout the movie, you were like, I really want to like this movie.
I know. I wanted to like it so bad.
It's really, let's you know what, let's just get to the end. What's one thing you liked and one thing you didn't like?
I really loved the soundtrack aesthetic of this movie.
Okay.
And how it in itself combined with the imagery. Yeah. This movie has a very good sense of aesthetic.
Yes.
For its vibe. And if you cut out all the dialogue and just like watch this movie with just the music and the vibe, it's got some very good vibes in it. Yeah. I love the 70s aesthetic. I'm a huge horror nerd, and the 70s produced a lot of good horror, along with the 80s. You know, 70s and 80s are the two horror decades, aside from, you know, the 2020s now, because reality is horrifying, and it's inspiring people to make good horror movies again. But ultimately, like, I loved the aesthetic and vibe to the point that it makes it worse for me because the movie itself is bad. And the thing that I disliked the most about this movie was its failure to stay on message. Yeah. Just in general, it wanted to say things. It was very shallow about those things. Like, it's not difficult to find what the movie's about, but it could not help itself but indulge in the male gaze to the point that it defeats its whole fucking point. Yeah. What about you? What's one thing you liked and one thing you disliked about this movie?
Yeah. I mean, definitely the aesthetic. Very nice to look at and listen to. One thing that I forgot to mention is that Alma, like, she kind of looks like Molly Shannon, and she kind of acted like Molly Shannon.
Agree. I actually agree about that.
It was a little distracting. I don't know that it would have been better with actual Molly Shannon. Yeah. Because that would have
Costco brand Molly Shannon.
Right. It would have fucked with the tone even more. So I guess that was something that distracted me through the whole movie. But something that I liked, I'm going to say, like, most of Wesley's dialogue and, like, acting.
Yeah, I think Wesley's actor did a decent job. I can agree with that.
Yeah, he was interesting to watch. I think I can say that.
I wanted more vampire out of him, though. Like,
sure, yeah.
He, honestly, I can agree with what you're saying, especially because, like, as far as depictions of vampire charisma goes, someone who's really awkward but is getting supernatural help from being a vampire, it could be Wesley. Like, Wesley is a really good example of, like, someone who's definitely very socially awkward, but because they have this charisma boost from their curse, you know, they pull it off.
Yeah, it's like nouveau riche, but for rizz. Nouveau rizz.
Right, like, you could definitely see, like, oh, wow, this guy was probably, like, a super incel, but then he got turned into a vampire, and now he's rizzed a bunch of girls, like, globally.
Yeah. Okay. And disliked. I'm not gonna use the tampon again.
No, you can say that. That's like, if that's affected you.
We harped on it enough. Yeah, just like kind of the overall messiness.
You could say, like, I think maybe what I can identify for you is the misplaced vulgarity. There is like the tampon is a very vulgar thing to have just thrown out, but they don't capitalize on it. They don't do anything with it.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's just how I'm feeling it based on your reaction to it, at least.
Did we ever find out what the climate of the hunter is? Like they mentioned, they almost name dropped the movie.
Yeah.
BJ was like, you got to get into the mind of the hunter or something like close to that.
Well, he's like, we're reaching a new climate. You've got to get into the mind of the hunter, I think is what he said. Like they did the college essay thing where they like couch the movie title, because they know that if you just put the movie title in, everyone's going to shit on you for it. So like, they like made it kind of clever because they want the people to drop it,
Yeah. All right. This has been Emissaries from the Void with Ari Stell Hawthorne and myself, Tristan Bowersox. New episodes will be released every other week with short bonus content we're calling liminals in the off weeks. The intro music is Now I Hear Little Dreams by Captive Portal, and the outro music is Arcadia by White Bat Audio. You can find us on Blue Sky at Void Emissaries, and remember that's single M-double-S. You can find Ari as Obscurity on most platforms and me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd as TB McQueen. The latter is where you will find our watch list and suggest movies you'd like to hear us dissect. You can also email us at emissariesfromthevoid@outlook.com to give feedback, alternate takes on the movies we've discussed, questions, suggestions, etc. Emissaries from the Void is a Void Opal podcast produced by TB McQueen Creative. For something completely different, listen to my other podcast, Fan Fiction Theater.